Hello, creatives. I'm Ari, and this is Shamelessly Creative. And today I've been just sketching in my sketchbook. Nothing really earth shattering, but I thought, you know what? Why don't I turn the camera on and you can just sketch along with me? We'll do a few faces and kind of get back on our face challenge. So I know, like you can do the grid lines, and I know it's probably best when you're starting out to do grid lines. And actually, I mean, I'm starting over, but I like sometimes just to do it this way where I'm just kind of feeling out the shape of the head and getting that cheek in. That one might not be right, but I kind of know about here. See where the jaw bones are or the corner of the jaw? I always kind of aim to place the nose or the mouth kind of at the jaw point and then the nose just above that, or I just wing it and try to put the nose above that jawline. I'm using an Alvin Draftmatics 0.7 pencil. I love the sharpness or the details you can get with a mechanical pencil, but for shading, because you don't have a side or an edge, it's a lot harder to do shading, I think, with a mechanical pencil. That said, in the sketch box, I received the Elvin lead holder with the 2mm lead, and I'm hoping to start using that for some sketching and see if that doesn't work better. And you'll see here I have my go-to nose that I kind of make the same nose a lot. It's just the one I like the look of better, but I am going to practice some different noses hopefully this week. I need to stretch my nose vocabulary. When placing eyes, I try my best to get them on the same plane. I've heard not to try to make an almond shape, but to kind of make more either straight lines or square lines, that'll give you a better eye in the end. But today I kind of just went with kind of a straight line with a curve under it, and I liked that. Remember, the nose comes up and around the eye, so you want to kind of outline the nose going into the brow and then drop your eyes just a little bit lower than that. And then just make sure they're straight across from each other and they're kind of in the same, when I say plane, that they're across from each other, that they're appropriate for the angle of the face. You change the angle, you kind of have to change how the eyes are positioned. And remember, with eyes, we have all the little lines of the lid, and so usually you have one line at least kind of angling up and then across from the lid to kind of make the lid. Then you have some shading from the brow, and then you have the eyebrows. But you also have some little lines under the eye as well. For shading, again, you just have to decide where the light is coming from and how the light is going to hit the face. I usually put the hair in first to kind of decide that, because the hair will also cast a shadow on the face, but I didn't in this one. Also, to define the mouth, you need some shading around the edges of the mouth and chin, and there's usually a definitive line under the bottom lip. Also, if you look at a face, like a reference photo that you might be following, notice that the edges of the mouth, the corners of the mouth, are really dented in, and my mouth looked better when I defined that more, which at first I thought was weird, but it really does help define your mouth. The mouth and nose is really about shading. It's the shading on the outside and of the object, so the nose, that defines the shape of it. More so than I think the eyes. And then the ears are also a lot of shading that define the shape. And maybe I will find eventually that the eyes are exactly the same way, that it's the shading and the light that define the shape. But definitely for the nose and mouth, to get the edge of the nose, you need to shade sometimes the nose itself and sometimes the skin around the nose. And remember, the biggest contrast is having a whitest white and your darkest dark next to each other. So if you need to define something, you need to think in those terms of, how can I place a dark here to make this stand out? How can I do the shading so this stands out? How can I put in light so that enhances the object? I truly love drawing faces. As I think it's just, there is something about seeing a face sort of come to life on the paper that I just adore the process. And it excites me to do another face, because, like, oh, look at this face. I didn't know this, and it didn't exist a minute ago, and now here it is. And I guess that's why I love art, is creating something that wasn't there before. It's like we're magicians. And if you can use that to encourage yourself to create art, because these faces, regardless if you copy them, are my faces, and your faces won't exist in the same way mine do. And so to me, we all have that something that goes into our art that, again, didn't exist and can't exist without you making art. So your piece is unique. And to me, that's another thing that encourages me to make art and to try to find my style and what I like putting on paper, because it doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And so I encourage you to just start and put your images and things you love on paper. It doesn't have to be faces. It doesn't have to be the same thing. But if you find the same joy I do, then by all means put faces on the page. But find the things you love and put your unique spin on either faces or food or trees or animals. You bring something unique to the table that will make your art unique. And the only way to find that is to put your pen or pencil to paper and keep experimenting. Still struggling with hair. Liking how that is looking so far. It makes sense to me. See, now I'm going in too much. Make her a fae. Or not. I don't know. Oh, I think it's starting too low. Even if we all went through the exact same experiences, which we don't, but if we did, we all would take in that information differently and process it differently and put it back out into the world differently. How, if you look at someone who has, let's say, lost a hand, there's the people that will not do anything with it and feel like their life is over. And then there's the other type of person that will take that and find a way to still do everything that is meaningful to them, regardless of what happens to them. And art is a lot the same way. We take in information from the world around us, and our emotions all go into what we put on the page. And sometimes on the page, things show up that are kind of subconscious. I had that happen to me earlier today. I was trying to draw something and something else came out on the paper, even though that was not my intention. So just remember that too, is your style is all those elements that make you you. All your likes and dislikes go into a face, go into whatever you're choosing to draw. So if you like coffee, chocolate, wine, and vegging out at home because you're an introvert, that goes into your art. If you're exuberant and fun-loving, that goes into your art. So just know that even if you try to draw the same thing as someone else, yeah, a person could get good at copying, but eventually your art will just be your own because it brings you along with it. still not liking the ear or the hair necessarily, but it's not too bad. So let's do another one. Good. I feel like I should have had an ear here. The point is I'm back to making faces. I'm back to making faces and getting my sketchbook out. And that feels really good. So as you know, well, you possibly know, I was doing the 365 days focus art challenge, which was to make a face every day for 365 days. Now, it's not that I'm not going to do that. So we're going to be calling this new focus challenge Daily Focus Art Challenge. And rather than setting a time limit like 365 days, part of it is to just daily focus on a particular part of your art. And what that means in the long run is that with this focus, we're going to just work on whatever area you choose to focus on. Now that could be for 30 days, it could be for 365 days. The goal is to just have a daily art practice. And whether it's just little sketches like this, or if it's something a little bit more involved, it's just getting your pencil on some kind of paper and making some art. But just like the 365 Days Focus Art Challenge by Diana, I want you to choose something to focus on, because it's just too easy when we just say, well, I'm going to make art today, to not have a goal in mind. I don't think it has to be a year. I think it just has to be, for the month of July, I'm going to focus on faces, or I'm going to focus on eyes. I'm going to focus on doing my other art, but then stopping and doing a page of faces or a page of something, of eyes. But it's that daily focus of whatever your goals are for the year. So in 2020, what did you want to achieve with your art? Obviously, there's something. You either want to get a little bit better, or maybe it's not, like, there's so many things about the face that I need to work on. I need to work on hair. I need to work on eyes. I need to work on ears. Hair. There's so many things that could make my drawing come to life even more. The only way by the end of the year I'm going to improve on that is by having a daily practice of just getting something on paper. So this is what I do after almost every video with you guys, is I tweak and I tweak. Like, if you don't put the pencil down, it's just so easy to keep going. And sometimes I ruin it, sometimes I don't. So maybe you get sick of faces. So far, I haven't got sick of faces. I could draw people and creatures and characters all day long. That's just my thing. I enjoy seeing who emerges on the paper. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So let's say, like just do 10 little sketches. Let's say another area I'm kind of interested in is food art. And so I don't know. I don't know how this will come about. All I can do is keep moving in a direction and bring what I love to my art and see what happens. And hope it pays off. That I will find my muse, I'll find what makes me happy to create. And I'm not sure I know what that is yet, but I'm hoping to learn. So this pencil does nothing. Maybe on camera it does, but in person it doesn't. So I don't mind either of those girls. So I feel like that was successful. I'm getting back to my daily challenge, and my daily challenge is continue to make faces until I'm happy with what I'm creating. This one I'm going to make a little more round face. I tend to make chins. I mean, I think in almost all my pictures you'll notice that that's... So making this rounded face or... See, I want to go in and square it up a little bit. But this is what I do. I tend not to do the guidelines, which obviously, can cause problems. But I'm willing to erase. And maybe I should be doing this every day. I mean, like doing the guidelines just to help. I also can't really explain it well, but when I'm putting a face on the page, it's like I see where to place the nose and I see kind of where I want to place the eyes. It may or may not be correct, but that's my starting point, is I sort of see where to put my pencil next. And that's why you'll notice me pausing sometimes, is I'm looking to see where it wants me to place the next line. that made her look like she has a unibrow. Face wrinkles like a furrowed brow or just wrinkles on the face is something that I need to work on as well. Like I wanted to make her brow furrowed, but trying to put lines in there just didn't look right. And this is another area that kind of explains where or how we bring different things to our art. How we see faces, as an example, is how we then translate them onto paper. And for me, a pointy or a square chin is something that, for whatever reason, I find beautiful in a face, less so with a rounded chin. So for me, when I go to draw a, a curved chin, for some reason, doesn't look right to me. And I found that, like in doll judging, if someone is loves the more rounded doll face, they tend not to judge a doll with a more pointy chin the same way. So we bring those prejudices or preferences, I think is a better word, to our art and how we judge someone else's art, because we each find something different, more valuable, or more interesting just on how our brains process information. So I think that's interesting. And until I noticed those things with dolls, that it seemed like one judge would always pick dolls with round faces, and those were the ones that usually won over a more pointy chin. But I found the dolls with square jaws or pointy jaw or chin more beautiful. So I find it really difficult to draw anything but a chin that is more prominent. And that's just something that ends up showing up in my art more often than not. But I do try to stretch myself and draw things I'm uncomfortable drawing. But like in this instance, I went back to a pointy chin. But again, that demonstrates what I was talking about earlier of how we bring ourselves to the art. That's going to be what helps define your style. That's going to be what helps define your style, is those preferences you have, those biases towards a certain paint. Like I like transparent paint, so more than opaque. But then I do have a love for gouache, which is opaque. So those little choices that we don't think of as a big deal help narrow and narrow our art style, our out, our art output. Because if I make faces with transparent colors or gouache over oils or acrylics, we're narrowing our focus. We're narrowing our style based on our preferences. My characters will probably always have prominent chins, and that will help my character stand out against someone who is making rounded chins. Neither is better or worse, it's just our preferences, our uniqueness that we're bringing to the table and to our art. Does that make sense to you? That's how we start finding our style, is by believing in ourselves and what we find interesting, that someone out in the world will also find those things interesting. That our special take on creatures or faces or robots will touch someone else, and they'll find value in what we find value in creating. That's where you find your style. All right, we'll just end it there. So again, I'm picking up where I left off with my focus challenge, trying to get back to doing faces. Today I did a lot of stuff. Well, I guess a lot. I did do this face. This one I painted with the graphite. I have this face. But today, just do little ones. Just to practice. Practice shading, practice. Hopefully you can do these along with me. As I said, if I sit here too long, I will just start tweaking things. By the way, I average about 20 minutes per face. So if I want to keep it simple, I just do one face a day. Otherwise, if I have an hour, I can do 3. So as you learn your time, you'll learn how to make time. Hair's going to take a while. So remember, I'm just beginning again. This is only like 6 months into, I'm not an expert. I know how to mix colors because I did a lot of art dolls. And so to mix skin tones and such, I had to mix paints for that. What prompted me to begin sketching was I would have an idea in my head for a doll I wanted to create, and I couldn't get it on paper. Like I could do, like a quick little stick drawing of something, but I couldn't get the detail I wanted, or to be able to plan out ahead of time kind of what I want them to look like or be like. So this was just starting and trusting myself again to allow mistakes, to allow myself to be a beginner every time I put my pencil down on the page and say, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try this. And sometimes it works. I just have to be always willing to learn and try something new and realize I don't know everything. So 6 of 20. Remember to date your sketchbook so you kind of have a clue. I might even 6 to 21, 20. Or you can, in the margin of your book, you can always put a date range because it's so easy to forget when you did something. And that's how, once the book is filled, you're going to know how far you've come after all your practice. And also see where you failed and where you need to work on, what you need to work on. I think out of the 3 today, or the 3 on this page, I think I'm most happy with her. But there's things I like about the other 2 as well. Her eyes are just too dark. I don't know. I could tweak all day. But I thought, let's throw up a quick video of just a little sketch time. And I hope you're all healthy and doing well. And I went to the doctor last week. I have another 3 weeks of healing yet. So I'm not back to 100% yet. It's going to take some time. And so in the meantime, I am just going to keep creating, and when I have the opportunity or the time, I'll throw up a video for you. And then hopefully in July, I don't know if you saw on Instagram, I'm sort of thinking of doing the Doodle Wash World Watercolor Month Challenge. So I'm gonna think about that. I don't know if I'm up to a 31-day challenge or not, but maybe I'll do every few days or a couple a week or something. But I'd sure like to try. But again, I'm really enjoying sketching too. So the hard part for me is I really love making art, and I could sit and make art all day long, but I have other responsibilities that I have to take care of and my health, and I really want to try everything. I want to try all the paint. I want to show you what I'm learning, show you so you can come along on the journey. I hope that when I'm doing things like this, you're getting out your sketchbook and trying. This is maybe not the correct way to teach, because I guess I'm not trying to teach you. I mean, I can show you what I know, and I can explain things to the best of my ability because I've dabbled with art for so long. But do I do it the correct way or the way somebody was taught in school? No. You saw me make these two faces, and did I follow guidelines or not? Am I going for 100% realism? Not really. Even some of my better drawings from, several months ago aren't really realistic. There's a cartoonish quality about them. But that's where I'm happy with. Like this was one of my favorite ones. I think I really like her too. So it's a matter, you make bad art, but you also get better. And I don't know that I want to be more realistic than this. As time has gone on, I'm happy with, would it be semi-realism? Just that it's a face. It doesn't have to be perfect. Will it, but where will this face be in a year? That's why I started this channel, is to keep myself accountable for my own growth and to take you along with me, to have you watch that. So I guess if I'm trying to teach you anything, it's that practice will pay off. That where I started 6 months ago and where I'll end in 6 months from now will hopefully be a drastic change. And that you can follow along some of my videos. I really struggle with length of videos. Do I make a video short so you can watch it quickly, or do I make it long so you can follow along? And I go back and forth between what's the best for my audience. Because either way, I will probably get criticism. My videos are too long, my videos are too short. But I want this to be a channel that you can follow along and improve your art as well. I want it to be a place where you can feel free to make your art and give you the time to create and voice that passion in you. It's just practice. It is just doing a face over and over again. But there'll be more content. I don't want to have everything be a face, but it definitely is easy. If I don't know what to do today, I'm doing a face. And yeah, I'm just hoping that as you watch my journey, that you start believing in yourself and pick up your pencil again or pen again or paints, and you just try and be okay with making ugly art to get you to things that you're a lot happier with. And my journey has been that this year, is I am getting happier and happier. Not that everything I make every day is good. I make some ugly art on a pretty consistent basis, I would say. But then I have moments where I'm happier with it, you know? Like, I know this needs work. Well, all of them need work. But it's just saying, okay, I really need to work on fairy ears. I need to work on human ears because it's just easier to cover them up. And so I don't know if I did anybody's ears back here. Yes. Or, you know, I'm trying. You know, more fairy ears. Yeah, for the most part, I cover up the ears. I mean, back to this page, this was where most of my successful ears were. Not that they're still great, but they at least suggest ears. So we'll just keep working on it together, and eventually I hope to have live streams. I'm not there yet. I'm not sure when I'll jump into that, but I probably will start live streams on Instagram to begin with and then move them over to YouTube. All right, I hope you got creative while I was getting creative. I thought, you know, it's time to get some sketching in, and I might as well share that time with you. Hopefully inspire you to get creative. We should be shamelessly creative. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye.